What's up people, it's PlayStation Gamer here. I've just started up a new YouTube channel. I'm hoping to do a lot of new content based on FIFA 21 and eFootball PES 21. I've only recently just started on PES. I was a FIFA player for a long time. For as long as I can remember, I have played PES years and years ago. That was back in the PS2 days. I then moved on to FIFA and it's been FIFA ever since, but the last couple of FIFAs have been a bit repetitive and a bit boring, so I've currently obviously jumped over to PES to give PES a shot. I still enjoy a game of FIFA, so it's something that I'm going to be looking to do on the channel as well. I've just started up the channel, so you'll have to bear with us on content update, editing, creating and new content and stuff, because it's all new to us, so I'm just trying to get to grips with it all. I do plan on making several series on the channel. I'm going to try and make series based on FIFA Career Mode and PES Master League, which is obviously the FIFA the same as FIFA Career Mode. Obviously PES My Club as well, which is similar to FIFA Ultimate Team. I do have an Ultimate Team, which isn't too bad to be honest. So the more subscribers again, and the more people want to see whatever they want to see, they could comment and post and let us know what you're into, what you'd like to watch. It'd be good to hear feedback and get comments on how I'm doing myself, how you think I'm doing, and what you believe I could improve on. I'm new to all this, so helpful comments and information would be much appreciated, rather than just people being rude and giving a shit. But the purpose of today's video is to give you a look around PES 21 Master League, which is basically their version of career mode. We're going to take a look at the menus and the layout and team sheet and layout, and we'll maybe sign a player or two and squeeze in a couple of matches if we're lucky. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. So obviously I have played before and I have got a couple of Master Leagues on the go, but for the purpose of this we're going to start a brand new one. So we've got a choice that we could make our own team, or we could choose club lineup, so we're just going to play with a real team. The team I'm going to be has yet to be decided. I've been nosy just before I started the stream here, the video, recording the video, sorry. I'm in a toss-up between starting one with Juventus, who are a team that are looking good, and a team that I believe I can maybe do something with. But my other team that I've been tossing up between is Borussia Dortmund. I quite like the thought of being them, because they're a decent squad with decent players, loads of young players with good potential that I could build up, and I'm assuming they have got a decent bit of money that I could use in the transfer market to bring in a couple of players and see where I go from there. I'm still undecided. On a quick note, actually, just before I pick a team, just so people are aware that if you do buy PES 21, they aren't licensed or have the official kits for all the teams, or have the official logos for all the teams and leagues and competitions. You'll notice that I do have that. There are option files you can download online to gain access to the strips and competition badges and league badges and stuff, and patches on the kits and stuff on the sleeves. There are ones you can download online for free. I did try doing that. I would not recommend it, to be honest. It's to find a reliable source that's creating the content that's legit enough and that's got everything you're looking for is the problem. So I did eventually stumble upon a website, which I'll leave down in the description down below, called PES Universe. You pay a yearly subscription, sorry. There's a gold membership and a silver membership. I did only buy the silver one, which comes with less stuff than the gold one. I don't think there's a lot of a difference. I didn't read into it fully, I just know that at the time I was playing more FIFA, so I just I didn't see the point in buying a gold membership for a year if it was only going to play PES on a part-time basis, but with FIFA becoming repetitive and me seeming to enjoy playing more PES after getting into it, I just decided to pay a fiver for a year for a silver membership, which comes with all the patches and the download files. You will need a laptop or a PC and a USB stick if you do decide to pay the fiver. It covers you for the whole year. They've just recently released the version 5 update, which I've just done, which is a fresh install. It does overwrite all your previous stuff if you have installed anything, but it gives you all the latest kits and player faces and team updates and competition logos and everything you want to make the game just feel as realistic as possible and just like FIFA. It does make a big difference to the game, because when I did first start playing the Premier League, it was just called the English League, and it only had certain teams in it that are licensed, like Arsenal are licensed by Konami this year, Man United are licensed by Konami, and I think that's the only English teams at the moment that were. But as you can see, I've got all the kits, all the team names properly, all the badges properly, and it's real players obviously. That is the other bonus. They don't have as many leagues in as FIFA, but they do have a good number of leagues to choose from, and there are plenty of leagues to go pick from. They do have the American League, and they've got the Chinese Super League, and they've got the Thailand League, and they've got the J League and things like that, if that's your fancy. But I'm kind of waffling on a bit. To get back to the video, we're going to go for, I'm going to go to the Bundesliga, and I'm going to choose Borussia Dortmund. So yeah, continuing on, so we get to pick a real manager. There are real managers in this game, and the only downside to this compared to FIFA is you can't create your own manager. You can change the manager's name, but there's no point in having a Pep Guardiola with your name, because it just wouldn't feel right. So for the purpose of this video in this series, we're just going to keep with the real name. It's just deciding who the manager is going to be. So we've got Ryan Giggs, Frank Lampard, Steven Gerrard, Johan Cruyff, Diego Maradona, legend, rest in peace, Romario, Zico, Roberto Carlos, Matthias, Ruud Gullit, Bebeto, and then there's a couple more down the bottom which I think are more generated, made up. Who will we pick? Do you know what? I'm gonna go for Zico, just for the purpose of this video. Zico is starting his managerial career. And he's got his suit on, and he's taking over Borussia Dortmund. So we'll go through the quick settings. He's got transfer frequency, so we can set it fairly high to have loads of transfers, high, probably just as much transfers, low, so the transfers isn't happening as much, fairly low, so there's hardly any, or normal, keep that normal. Negotiations difficult, we'll keep that normal too, because I do find it harder to sign players on this compared to FIFA with the contracts and stuff, but we'll get into that soon. Starting budget, this is also the same. You could change this to fairly large, which is a good sum, or there is large. I'm sure if you put it on large, it would give you about 300 million, which is well more than you probably need for any team, to be honest. You could change it to small and challenge yourself fairly small, but I think what we'll do is we'll keep it on normal, because we've probably got enough players that we could sell and make some money on. We'll keep the first transfer window on. Salary display, I'm going to change that to weekly. I prefer to see weekly wage than annual wage. Match level, so on PES, for those of you who haven't played, got a regular, professional, top player, superstar, and it goes beginner, amateur, and so on. So I'm no the best at PES, I'm not the best at FIFA either, but for the purpose of this video I'm going to put it on professional or top player, sorry, we'll put it on top player, we'll give ourselves a bit of a challenge. I'm going to keep it on 9 minutes of match time because I do feel like that's a reasonable amount of time. PES seems to be a bit quicker than FIFA, with the 6 minutes that FIFA it does, which I feel is long on FIFA, but currency, pounds here in the UK, stops during the transfer window, so this is basically how many days it sims during negotiations with a player. I tend to have that at first on every day, just because I think sometimes when players don't answer and stuff and you're looking to sign other players during that time, it sims too fast and you go through the transfer window pretty quick, but you can rechange that when the game's set up, so we'll go with that to start with. So we'll get into this. There are a few cutscenes in this which I quite like, that's different from FIFA, as you can see here. We're now at the Dortmund facilities. Zico's getting introduced, meeting the new players. There's Marco Reus, Delaney by the looks of it. Jadon Sancho, young pup. He's another good player, the reason I went for this team. It'll be good to see if we can keep him at the squad. Is that Haaland? Erling Haaland. It's good to see you, son. So we've got a good young squad here, which I think will be able to take far. Here we are, we're at the training facilities. I like this compared to FIFA. It was just a bit straightforward with it, but this is a bit more like a storyline. So we'll see what they're saying. So season objectives, so setting the goals. Right, so let's see what they're saying. Zico, I'd like to discuss this season's objectives. As sporting director, I think we should be aiming high to win the league this year. What's your opinion? Win the league? Could we do that? I would say so. Yeah, I'll go with win the league. Let's try and put it on a challenge. And we'll go with that. So it's been decided that we've to try and mount a title challenge. This will be interesting to see, eh? So, we're Zico, we're at Dortmund and we have to win the league. So here we go, got a meeting with the press. We'll see what the press are wanting to say. Congratulations on your appointment. You're quite the journeyman manager. I've managed a number of clubs. Do you consider your current appointment? Is your appointment at this club the crowning moment of your career? Well, for Zico, probably not. Legend that he is, but it's a great moment, that's what we'll say. Just for quickness, we'll skip through this bit. The style of football do you want to play this season? I want to see clean sheet, sportsmanlike football. I want to put on a show. I want to see the boys play hard. Let's put on a show, that's what we'll have to do to win the league. So, we'll get into it. So here we are, welcome to Master League. This is the beginning of your career as a manager. First check your mails in the manager's office, messages or press triangle. Access to diary from the top left hand panel at any time to pursue a record of all dialogue spoken during cutscenes. When ready, go forward in time. Go to the forward time menu to advance the calendar to get the ball rolling. So So here we're in. So as you can see, this is a lot different from FIFA. On your right hand side you've got the league table. There's a follower section at the bottom showing you that we've got 1,500,000 and odd followers, which I think is quite cool, and I do believe that that goes up the better you get and the more wins you get under your belt. We've got similar to FIFA where you get the little news stories. At the bottom is obviously your fixtures that pop up on the screen. So we'll work our way from the right hand side to the left hand side. So we've got the system tab, which is how you save your game. You can import players from your My Club, which is their Ultimate Team version. It's a feature in PES. It's different from FIFA, but we'll get into that another time. You've got your general settings, which is basically what we went through before we started, but it's things that you could change: the difficulty if you're finding it hard, how many days get simmed during the transfer window, like I showed you before, and the transfer negotiations and stuff. So that's just the basics. You've got your database, so we've got competition info, so this is where you can see the different leagues and the different competitions in each league and how different teams are doing, and check on your own team and where you are in the league. So you've got all the different leagues to go through. So us being in the German league, come down to, where is it? So obviously it's not named in here as Bundesliga because they don't have rights to the Bundesliga. Obviously with the option files I was telling you about that I paid for, this is how you do get the Bundesliga teams and official kits and badges and logos. So we would go in here, then there you've got the Bundesliga. So if you click on Bundesliga, you've got standings, which obviously pulls up your league table. As you can see, all the teams in the league. If you go back, you've also got goal rankings, assist rankings. That's obviously top scorers, top assisters. You've got individual titles which come up. That's like your team of the weeks and stuff. You've got regulation, so you get the rules on how many teams are in the league, how many games you have to play home and away. You've got your how it works, how many points you're needing, goal differences and goals scored, red and yellow cards. Obviously, get a red card, you get a match ban. You get 5 yellow cards, you get a match ban. There's no promotions or relegations because there isn't a second German league on this game. You've obviously got how to qualify for the Champions League, Europa League, and how the berths work to get into the next leagues. So obviously Champions League, the league winners earn a berth in the group stages, and the runners up get a playoff place. Europa League, the cup winners earn Champions League if they have not done so already, so 3 teams included in this earn a place. So when the Deutscher Pokal earn a place in the Champions League. So that's your competition info. You've got your team info. This is basically similar. So you'd come down, find your team. This shows you a game plan, which is obviously your formation, but we'll get into that soon. Squad list, which you can go on and check for every team, which we'll also get into in a moment. You've got managers info, so we've got myself, Zico. It shows you Zico's style of play that he likes. So he likes to play a possession game with short passes, he likes to attack wide, he likes having players to be flexible in positions, he likes to have a front line pressure, defensive style, aggressive. He's also got a defensive style that he likes to play as well. So yeah, we've got that. Club rankings, so there's actually club rankings on this, so we're 16th ranked according to the world rankings of PES. There are obviously, for every team in the world, the list goes on and on and on. way down to the hundreds, 300s, 400s, as you can see, all the way down to 572. So the teams all the way down here are obviously technically the worst teams on the game, all the way to the best teams back at the top, and our team currently is ranked 16th in the world. So we're ahead of a lot of good teams as well, to be fair, which I feel is quite good. I do believe that during the season your team can climb up club rankings with how well you play, and you've obviously got national team rankings as well, which is very similar, and having who's the best national teams. So that's your database section. You've got your manager's office, so we'll start with messages. So you've got your messages here. This is all the basic stuff. I'll not get too much into this and bore you, but you can read all this obviously when you start. You've got your scouts and stuff. You've got budgets that you could manage. You can set the different types of income that comes into your team and where you want it to go. Like, so if you want it to go into your transfer budget or your wage budget, or where you want to set your different types of budgets. You can obviously get offered other managers' jobs and get offered jobs at different clubs, which is also another good thing you can look out for. If you just decide that you're bored at the club you're at, you wanted to change, you can move on. You do get offered throughout the season, and especially if you're playing well, different managerial jobs. There's obviously national team announcements that come up for players getting called up to countries. You get schedules, like obviously this is saying that the Bundesliga gets underway. You've got the best European Player Award, which is basically PES's version of the Ballon d'Or. And then you've got obviously the last day of the transfer window coming up. The season's targets have taken note of the objectives. You and your staff at the sports. So that's just basically what you discussed in your interview with your sporting director about winning the league. So go with that. You've got your management career, which is obviously you could check which trophies you've won as a manager. You can select favourite players throughout your managerial career and have them a list of your favourite players. All results and squads on each season. So you've got your results and squad lists that you've had throughout the seasons, players that you've kept, players that you've sold, and how you've got on in your season. And then you've got your manager offer, so if you get offered another job or national manager's job, that's in here also. So that's always something good to check out for. Account balances, so this is like I was saying, you can see what you've got account balances wise and see what you're wanting to do with your different balances and what you're getting money in from and where it's coming from. Same with your budget settings. This is basically where you've got your gate receipt bonuses, set a salary budget, set a transfer budget, merchandise as salary, competition bonuses into salary. So set the transfer budget, for instance, season objectives, set the transfers, contract options, incoming, fan favourite bonuses. So it's good to check that, because that could potentially save you money and gain you money in different areas. Like I say, you've got your favourite players and that you could select. So you could select players to add to your favourite players as the players that you like, but we'll not get into that just yet. We've got your team info, so you've got your calendar. This basically shows you what's going on. So we're obviously here on negotiation day 1, which is opening day of the transfer window, which is obviously opened. Come down your calendar, so we've got a couple of weeks to go before any game starts, and then we've got the call-ups for the national teams, and then we've got the first game of the season against Hoffenheim, so on and so forth. You've got the announcement for the Ballon d'Or winner, match day 2, and then the last day of the transfer window for your month. So that's pretty much your calendar. you've got your squad list, which again is where you can check your team out, but we'll get into that very shortly. We'll have a look at the players' ages and potentials, and we'll go from there with that. Player status, this is where you can check players that you've got in, so we can take a look at the condition and status of players here. Beware that players who are injured, suspended cannot be selected for the team's next match. Also, players who are selected for the national team get tired after international matches, so be sure to keep an eye out for the stamina. So this is obviously players that get called up. Us being Dortmund, they've got a lot of good players that are going to get called up for the countries, and during the course of the season they get tired and fatigued from playing and travelling, so that can affect their form on this, which is a big thing in PES career mode, is about, or Master League sorry, is about their form being up and their stamina. You've got national team competition absentees, player exits. So there's nobody that's transferred or left, retired, but that will change as the season goes on and we sell players and sign players. That's player status, sorry. You've got a team role list, so you can obviously here, as the name suggests, a team role is the role a player has within the team. A player with a team role can positively impact the team and his teammates as well as his own play. In various ways, a player's team role will determine their personality and other impacts on the team. Building your team around players who have team roles can lead to a stronger team development. So you can select different players to have different roles, which is obviously a good thing to do. Some players are already in roles here, which is good for your team, like I said in the board there. So setting team roles is good, selecting players to be in different roles, and obviously the better the roles, the more stars go up, and the better players you've got, the better stars that are capable of playing that role. Good for your team. You've got your club performances, so you can click in here, you get monthly reviews of your team and how they're doing. You've got info on entered competitions, so if you click on that, this tells you, so we're in Europa League, you can check the goal standings in the Europa League, who's got most goals, who's got most assists. You can check the rules and regulations if you want to. You've got the group stages, when they kick off that becomes available to click on, and same with the knockout phases. You could check your own league standings, goal standings, and vice versa. That's similar to what we looked at before. You've got the German Cup, obviously. You can check the fixtures, the goal scorers, and vice versa. You've got your player results. That's just basically a list of what your team's been doing good and how many matches each player's played, how many goals and assists, man of the matches, cards they've had, red, yellows. These ones at the bottom that are in dark, these light up after you've played games and stuff. You do get to check out monthly and reviews of your team for single players or a club. It does give you loads of insights to different things, like who's made the most passes, who's had the better shots, who's more accurate in front of goal, who's won more aerial battles in the air, who's made more tackles. So there's loads of things in there that you can look for that I find better compared to FIFA. It shows you more things to do with how the team's playing compared to FIFA, who just give you basics. But this way you can keep an eye on who's actually performing for your club, good and bad. That's pretty much that for the My Team info. So lastly, we've got team management. So this is basically where you fix your team, your game plan, your tactics, and then make your signings. So we've got game plan, so we'll start with that just as a quick one. This is your team sheet pretty much, all your players, positions that they're playing in, ratings that they're playing in, and your tactics and stuff. So the way that PES works is some players need to be playing in the right positions to get better ratings. So we've got Sancho, for instance, 86 overall. So this is basically saying you could play right or left, so the light blue squares are basically where he's prefers to play, and he's better at playing in these light blue positions. The yellow greeny coloured ones are just where he could play, but it's just he will not get the best out of him for that. So for instance, he is on the right wing at 86 just now, but if I was to pull his position down to right midfield, he goes down to 83 rating. I'm not entirely sure if that drops his stats. I've never actually something I've looked into. I don't think it does or makes much of a difference, but obviously you'd want to go to get the best out of him, so you're going to play him in that right midfield, right wing forward position, sorry, and get the 86 rating out of him. There's loads of different factors that come into play with that. When you're putting players into positions, just using Delaney for instance, so he's basically good at playing midfield. He could play the cam position or the centre midfield position or a left or a right midfield rather than a winger, but if you put him in the CDM position, he's got an 81 overall. If I was to bring him back down to more of a defensive role, not do that though, I've swapped him with Hummels. So if I played him in a defensive role, his rating would drop to 77 because he prefers playing a midfielder role, so you'd obviously play him in the better position. You've obviously got your full team. There's a wee faint line there, just under Hazard. That's basically your bench. That line does change depending on what competitions you're in, based on how many subs you're allowed on your bench and whatever else, but you've obviously then got the rest of your team down here for making extra substitutes, bringing players on and off before you start your game. So just above that line is where your bench pretty much stops. Anyone in here is basically reserves. You've got your full team. So that's basically that. I'll quickly touch on tactics, sorry. So you want to change the formations, if you've obviously got different formations you could change into. The wee shield in the top corner is basically your team chemistry, which builds more if you're playing them all in the right positions and they're in form and they're getting to gel with one another. That does build up, which is why they've got wee red like heat marks behind them. It's like a heat map, and obviously the more red they get behind them means they're playing better together in that position and they're gelling as a team, so your chemistry will kind of build up and eventually you'll get the best out of your players. You've obviously got your attacking instructions. You can go into different instructions for attacking, so you've got your possession game, counter attacking. You can choose what you prefer, short passing, long passing. You can change what you want it to be, more wide, more flexible, how many people you're wanting up in support of the passing. You've obviously got the same for the defence, whether you want them to be all out defensive and aggressive or creative, whatever else. You've then got advanced instructions. This is for during the game, for using the D-pad for changing. I think you can obviously add attacking instructions, so you can have a false wingers, play defensive, hug the touchline, take attack, wing rotation, false nines, false centre backs. One of my favourites I like to use is attacking full-backs. I do like a full-back that can bomb up and down the line, help the wingers out. It's always good to overlap, in my opinion. Obviously you've got the Pep Guardiola tiki-taka style with the short passing and that, you can add all that in. And same with defensive, you've got, obviously you have defensive wing backs, or play deep defensive lines and gegen press and counter targets and that. So there's loads of different options for tactics. It's good to get into. That's pretty much all your basics. For your team management, your game plan. Your training is a lot different from FIFA. Obviously this year's FIFA is more in depth, where you can go into the training and train players and change positions. PES isn't so much like that. PES is more pick a player and pick the type of style of player you're looking to turn them into, which then obviously, using Delaney as an example, he's playing as a box to box midfielder. You can obviously change him into a different style midfielder if you want, and within the more you play him and his stats will go up and down depending on how well he's adapting to that training style. Using Haaland for instance, he's set as to be a goal poacher, which I wouldn't say is a bad thing for him, because what a talent he is, and that 90 finishing just shows and what a player he's going to be for with this series. It'll be good to see if he gets on, but like I say, you could change him to be balanced, which just kind of balances all his stats out for when they're getting upgraded. You've got Fox in the box, target man, creative player, and as you can see the arrows are showing you how much of the different stats would go up and down based on what we've got him, but I'll keep him at a goal poacher just now, and that just works for the rest of the team obviously. That's your training. You've got skill training, so you could train players on this to learn certain skills, because it's different from FIFA with the skill ratings of being 1 star, 2 star, 3, 4 and 5 and so on. With this you've obviously got the different skills, and it'll tell you players that are eligible to be able to learn these skills, and then you have to pick a player and then get them to learn the skill, and then you've got to do that over all the other players. It does seem like a bit of a pain, and I've not quite learnt all the skills on PES just yet, so I don't tend to get into this as much. I will start learning them, and maybe in the future I'll start applying them and understand them. But just going for like the Rabona for instance, it says Torgan Hazard seems to be the only eligible player in the team to hit a Rabona, but I wouldn't say that's true. You've got loads of young players and loads of good players like Royce and Witzel and Sancho and Haaland and all these young skillful players and stuff that will be able to do a Rabona no bother. This is how I don't seem to like this as much, but I don't get into it, so it doesn't bother me as much. But it is there for people to do. You've got to edit squad numbers, obviously you could change kit numbers and put players in different kit numbers, whatever you fancy. The pities are obviously all wondering is how you sign players, so that's what we'll get into now. So you've got negotiations, so you come down here, you've got my team, so this is your whole team. Basically it tells you each player's market value, the salary that they're on per week, how long they've got left on the contract. It tells you their appearances, their goals, their assists, their nationality, the type of playing style they are, and it gives you an idea of teams that are interested in signing your players. As you can see, it's got teams in contact, and that eventually changes as we advance through the weeks and days. The more of your players attract them to some different teams. As you can see, we started with a budget of 73 million. 56,000 salary budget, which isn't a lot of salary, so you need to kind of tread carefully with that. You can get more salary with obviously selling players and stuff. When you're in here you can sort by overall rating, so if I do that, so it puts the highest rating at the top, which is obviously Marco Reus at 86, and you've got Sancho and Hummels. You can also sort it by salary, so who's got the biggest wage at the club, which seems to be Jadon Sancho on 103,000 a week. Or you can set it to years left on the contract, or market value, who's the most valuable. Jadon Sancho at 90 million again, 87 for Haaland. It's quite high to be honest, but that's what you get when you've got young talents at your team. So that's basically your own team, so if ever you get an offer for someone from your team, you'll come into here, there'll be a little red arrow next to them, and it'll tell you which team it is and how much they're offering, and you can obviously negotiate what you believe a good price for him is, and if you think he's worth selling or keeping. You've got your scouting, so basically that kind of sets itself up, but you can set a scout up. I've just not done it because PES is kind of old school, where you can just do a search of your cell and it gives you every player from the best rating to worst rating, which I quite like because it keeps things plain and simple. But throughout the days that you're simulating, you will get your scouts popping up with people saying that they believe you should sign them, but most of them are a load of rubbish, and you're better just looking for your own or setting a scout up for what you're actually looking for. You've got a youth team in here, you can obviously fart about with the youth team. Bring players in and out who you think are going to be useful to you. One thing that I did notice about this, which kind of put us off a wee bit, was that I was doing a Norwich City one to get them promotion, which I got, and in the second season I was looking through this and real life players had regenerated and became regens, and then became available in my youth team squad. So for instance, I had Claudio Bravo, had his real player face and his real stats, but he was basically 16-year-old for some reason again, so it's like he'd retired and then they've just brought him back around instead of, usually they would just make a fake player, but they brought him back. I had him at 16 years old, he's an old man. I had who else was there? Adel Rami, the old fullback, the French fullback, and there was a couple of others as well that seemed to regen, so I'm not sure quite how that works with other teams as well, if they'll end up with that and they come back in the game. I'm hoping not, because it kind of makes it unrealistic. You've got obviously listed players as basically your shortlist, advanced search and other teams, so other teams is basically where all your negotiations go. If you do have any loan players that you loan in, they don't go into your my team, they go into here, so anything you're looking to see about their contract or how long they've got left or what they're earning, they end up in here and they stay in here for the whole time that they're loaned. Your negotiations go in here. Your advanced search is basically you're looking for a player, so this is your filters and who you can look for. So I don't know if we set the age between 15 to, we'll go 29, and then we'll go market value, so a minimum value of 10 million, maximum value will go 70 million, so it's going to give us all the players between 10 to 70 million. Obviously once again, like I said, you can sort it through, well, this is different, you can sort this through height, age, position, overall rating, market value, years left on a contract, and player name, countries and regions. So obviously we'll look for it to go for overall to start with, so it's going to give us all the best players. So you've got Ter Stegen, Casemiro, Kante, Thiago, Ederson, all the best players obviously in the world are going to come up first, all different ratings. If you press the R2 button, you've obviously got their weekly salary and what they're getting paid per week, so these are the best players in the world, obviously on hundreds of thousands. You've got their market value and what they're worth, which gives you an insight on how much you're going to be looking to pay for them. The release fees on this I've not quite figured out, because each player you seem to sign always seems to have a release fee on their contract, but I don't think other teams tend to trigger it like they would on FIFA, so I don't think you actually lose them, but I do think you could maybe get them with the release fee and then offer them a new contract and take it off, but I'm not entirely sure. Affection, I'm not quite sure what that means. I just think it's the effect that they would have on your club if you signed them. You've got when their contract ends, periods that they're unavailable, e.g. international leave, and if you go to contract ends, we'll come down, we'll see if there's anybody that pops up. So he's a free agent, sorry, so nobody just now by the looks of it. These are all free agents. You will get people that pop up in here basically that are running out of contract. If they are running out of contract, it'll say in this contract ends bit that they've got less than a year left on the contract. You can then pick them up on a free by just offering them a salary rather than having to pay for them, just the same as FIFA. And that's basically all the ins and outs of it. So what we'll do is we'll get a quick look at the Dortmund squad. We'll sort it out with players that we're going to be looking to keep and sell and vice versa. So we'll get into it. We'll go for overall ratings and we'll see, like this shows you here their rating, their positions that they play, obviously what they've been doing, how good they've been playing, whatever else. It does show you their potential and their actual growth of how well they're doing and how far. So we've got Marco Reus, So the lighter blue is obviously his actual progress, sorry, how well he's doing. So he's sitting at obviously 86 overall just now. He's on the decline because he's now 31. He's getting older, but his expected progress is to be going back down mid 80s by the age of 33. But he's sitting at 86 just now, so I'll get a good couple of seasons out of him. Sancho obviously on the other hand is a different way around, so he's sitting at 18-year-old and he's going up to 86. He's expected to just rise to maybe 87, 88 by 22, and he should keep going up and up and up. Hummels is the same, obviously he's now 32 and he's on the decline because he's aged, so by 34 he's expected to drop, so on and so forth. So what market values? I don't think we'll be looking to sell Royce. I don't think any of these players will be looking to get sold anytime just now, to be fair. 26, Emre Can, Witzel, he's a good player, but like I say, he's getting old as well, and I'm going to need to be looking to bring in younger players to replace. I'll keep those in just now though. So what I want to do is go to ages, because I like to see. So these players will all get kept. Meyer, he's getting older. Burke, he's a keeper, he's fine just now. Delaney, got a couple of seasons. Akanji, he's fine. Piszczek. So just right off the bat I can tell you that he's going to go. So transfer policy, so place on transfer lists. So we'll be in the market for a new right back, because he's going to go. He is a legend at the club, to be fair, but he's old. Shows 27, he should be fine just now. Centre midfield forward. He's 24. I just didn't think I could see plans for where I could fit him. He's another midfielder though, but I'm going to let him go. And I'll just replace him. Schmelzer's a left back. He's the same, he's a legend, but he's getting older. So I will need to see. These guys are all younger. I can maybe be owning some of them out. So if I get rid of Schmelzer, I need another left back as well. So that's Schmelzer, Piszczek, and who was the other one? Witzel. Do you know what, actually I'm going to take him off. I'm going to keep Witzel. And I must have never added him. Who was the other one that added? Oh, it was the Hun, sorry, was it? Yeah, so the Hun's gonna go. and basically that's the team, and that's how it is just now. So what we'll do is we'll go to our game plan. I feel like I'm quite happy with the formation that we're playing. I like that formation. I'm happy having the players where they're playing. Oh sorry, what am I doing? So my plan is just to kind of get back up for every position. So if I self-paste it, I'm going to get another right back, so that leaves us 2 right backs. I've got rid of, or I'm trying to get rid of Schmelzer, which is fine because I'll pick up another left back anyway, but we've still got Shields as well, so we should be fine there. Dahound, we don't have a lot in the way of quality midfielders. We've got obviously Jude Bellingham in that. He's young, but I'll probably use him as a winger more than a midfielder. Just for his bit of acceleration and that, and I'll build him up. But I think the first team is probably the way that I would play it anyway, so it doesn't look like I'm going to be making much changes. I'm pretty much happy with that. So that's basically the basics of Master League, the menus, how you go about starting. I've been PlayStation Gamer. It's been a pleasure making this video for you. Stay tuned. I'm going to try and get another video out fairly soon where we're going to jump into the transfer market. We'll see if we could sell those players that we've listed up. I could buy some more players in, and we'll see about getting some gameplay footage because I know you'll all be dying to see what that looks like. And we'll maybe play the first couple of matches, and we'll get through the first transfer window, and we'll see if we manage to get any players in and how we go. So I've been PlayStation Gamer. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you soon.